Hey there, planners. Today I'm going to be setting up my work planning system for the month of May. That includes my bullet journal for work as well as my A5 rings planner for work. So go grab your planners and let's get planning. All right, so let me start just with a system update. The good news is not much has changed from the month of April to going into the month of May. Not much is going to change. I am still using my bullet journal. I am still using a rings planner. April was the first month that I actually introduced the ring planner, and that was based on some position changes and new work that I am taking on, really needing to have a very structured format to capture work items in, and this is working really well for me. I will say you may not recognize this guy because I did update this part of the planning system. When I introduced this ring planner to you, I had it in an A5 Carpe Diem planner. I have since upgraded to this, which is a Filofax A5, and I will talk a little bit more about that when I actually open this up and we start planning in it. So we're going to start with the bullet journal because that is fairly easy to set up, and I also am going to do some brain dumping in here that will help me set up everything else. So let's get started with the bullet journal first. All right, so for my work bullet journal, I have just turned to the next blank page, and I am on page 194 out of 368. So, I think I'm probably going to end up having to get a second. I thought that perhaps I could get all the way through the year with this bullet journal, but given that we are moving into the 5th month of the year and I am over halfway through, I do not think that's going to be possible. So that's disappointing. I was really hoping to have everything in one, but especially with the change in my work and the amount of notes I am having to take right now, I am definitely going to have to get a second one of these, but that's okay. I can just use my little label maker and, mark them for the year and have them make sure they're indexed. That's very important. But the way I'm going to be setting this up for the month of May, I'm going to start just by putting down a little mini calendar for May and capturing any key dates. I also want to add in a section for wins and lessons learned. And that's how I'm going to set up this first page. So you can see I'm just making a little squiggly. I'm not being too neat about it. I had this question and it was, it was a little bit snarky question, but that's okay. I really don't mind. Somebody said, do you really use decorative planners, for work? Do you really use decoration? And the answer is absolutely yes. Here's the thing I feel pretty strongly about when it comes to your planner. It's your planner. And the purpose of the planner is to help you be successful when it comes to organization and getting things done. And, if having some yellow and some washi tape in my planner is what helps me get things done, yeah, absolutely. I am using some color and some decorative elements in my planner if that's what it requires. Absolutely. And, I think the other aspect there is the question was really stated like, how is that acceptable? And what I would say is I have never had, me personally, had a boss who could, care any less about what my organization system is. So what they've cared about is, am I achieving the results that I need to achieve? And so they don't care what my planner looks like. And I don't care. I have direct reports in my organization, and I don't care what their planners look like. What I care is if they are achieving the results. And so I think that's important. I do think having a professional looking outside. Now, I wouldn't have a bunch of stickers out here, that says #bossbabe and all that stuff. I'm not into that, which is why I like nice covers. I like nice covers, but as far as the inside goes, do you. Absolutely do you. And kick kick butt and achieve those results and climb ladders. That's what I say. All right, so I have just drawn in some lines, and I'm going to go ahead and label these. So this is going to be key dates, and I'll just make a list here of any dates that I want to make sure I pay attention to. This is going to be wins, and lessons. So I have started a new role and taken on some new things, and I'm feeling quite challenged right now. So it's exciting, but it's also full of wins and lessons learned. So I really wanted a place to capture those because I think it's going to help me as I'm trying to come up to speed. The other thing I am going to be adding, which I don't typically do in the monthly setup, is just a little bit of a goals section. So once I get really fully into the role and I have formal goals, I will take the time to set that up in my ring planner so I can really truly track those. But I'm so new in the role that I'm going into that I don't really have formal goals yet. I'm sure those will get figured out over the next month or so. But I have some personal goals for how I come up to speed in this new job. And so I am going to write down some goals for the month of May as it pertains to this job, and sort of take notes and track those and be able to reference them and come back to them. All right, so you can see I kept it super simple. I have a place to put 4 goals in, and I am going to do that off camera because I'm going to get pretty specific about my job. And so I am going to do that off camera, but I just wanted a place to write down 4 goals that I am going to monitor and track. So with the intro page and the goals page set up, I am going to flip over and I'm going to make a place for me to conduct my monthly brain dump. And I've got these brain dump triggers that I pulled out of my rings planner. I just cut slits in the holes, and so I can move it in and out. But I will make a place that I will come in and do my monthly brain dump, which is a great big list of all the things that I can think of that are in my head that need to go in here. And I'll actually continue to use this through about halfway through the month for any big monthly items that don't necessarily pertain to the week ahead. I'll come in and dump them here. And then about halfway through the month, I start to use any space that's left over for the next month, for things I need to remember for the next month. And so this is always a really handy spread. I am going to grab some washi today. I'm going to use this this black and white washi, and the reason I like to do this is because it helps me mark the page. So like when I'm flipping through and I'm looking for something in the bullet journal, it's these type of things that help me identify, oh, there's a page that stands out. And so it also helps me to find them, when I'm flipping through. So I'm just going to be marking this page with this washi. And I'm not actually going to do the brain dump on camera. I will do that off camera. But I just wanted to show you how I set it up and how and talk a little bit about how I use it. Do you all use brain dumps? I'm really curious about that. I have found over the years more and more that brain dumps are such an important part of my planning system. And I actually think in reading the Getting Things Done book by David Allen, he put words to why. I knew it was important, but I couldn't really explain why. He actually put words to why it's important. And it's about clearing my mind so that I can focus in on things without having other items that are jumping in, hey, don't forget about me, in my mind. And brain dumps really help to do that. It gets everything out of your head onto paper so that you can appropriately store it in your planning system and trust that you don't have to keep thinking about that. It's in the system. It'll get done when it needs to get done. And I have just really found that helpful and increasingly helpful as particularly for my job, my responsibilities grow and I'm responsible for more than just my own performance. Brain dumps have really been key for me. So I'd be really curious to hear from you all. How do you use brain dumps in your planning system? Do you use them? Do you use a triggers list? Do you have something like this that you use for a triggers list. I find that this really helps me remember everything, not just the things that are just top of mind at that moment, but helps dig out all the other things that are buried in there to really clear my head so that I can get strategic and work on, the important things. All right, so this is it for my bullet journal, and it's not a very complex setup. It's very simple. What I will do after this page is just start rapid logging. I will put the date, wherever I am on the page. I will denote with a color, make a highlight, write in the date, and then just rapid log any notes for that day. And then I do go back and pull out any actions on a regular basis. But I keep the bullet journal set up for work really, really simple. All right, so let me get to the more structured aspect of my work planning system. Here's the file that I picked up recently, and I am absolutely loving it. It feels great. I feel like it's going to be really durable. The problem with the Carpe Diem was this latch was stretched so tight. The rings were plenty big enough, but the planner itself wasn't made to hold that much stuff. So you can see I've got a lot of stuff in here, and it's doing just fine. There's plenty of room. I can keep stuffing it if I want to. It looks very similar to how I had the other one set up. Actually, I just kind of moved things over. I made just a few changes. I did have to tweak the pockets because the pockets are different in this planner than they were in the other one. But I still have my decorative items in here as well as my functional items. I've got all my my numbered list of sections here that correspond to the sections in the planner. And this, I love this aesthetically because it invites me to come use this planner. And to me, that's important. It may not be important to you. If it's not, don't do this. Go right into the functional stuff. So the sections have not really changed. This first section is all about the getting things done, which is where I've got my weekly review process, and then there's my brain dump triggers. I pop that back in the planner. Let's see, second section is calendar, and that's where we're going to be hanging out today. So I have the May tab already in there and the monthly overview. This is an insert that I made myself, and I'm using this in both my personal planner, which I will have a monthly setup coming up soon on that, as well as this planner. But it's really simple. I just come in here and highlight the month, so I know that it's May. And then I will set up this calendar and then capture any important dates. I've got just a blank section here for notes, and I've got a must-do section here. And then I've got a monthly overview. Now what you'll see I don't have is a very large 2-page monthly spread, a monthly calendar. I don't need that in my planner. I use my Outlook calendar, and this is plenty for me to be able to, oh, I made a little yellow mark there. Oh well, that's okay. This is plenty for me to be able to see my month at a glance. I don't need the full 2-page monthly calendar. And then it goes right into the weeks. This is a weekly spread, a weekly setup insert that I made myself. It's a week on 2 pages. Really, the week is on 1 page, but I've got other key information that I use quite a bit during the week here on this side. So I've got this week where I can put the dates and the week number at the top. I've got Monday through Friday here. I don't include Saturday and Sunday in my work planner because I try not to work too much on those days. Sometimes it doesn't work out like that, but I really don't try to schedule much for those days. I do have, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a very faint grid in this box here. And the way I divide this up, I use this box for things that are dated, timed. So things that have to happen on a specific time in that day. And then this box for things that I need to get done on that day, to-dos. And then over here I have a priorities section. I like to capture what my priorities are for the week. I'm reading this great book now called Productivity project. And the author's name is escaping me right now, but I will leave it listed in the description box below. But he really goes into the importance of setting those priorities on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, really focusing in on what are the achievable, reasonable things that you need to get done for the day or for the week. And so I'm trying to become better at that because it's not something I have a good habit of doing. So priority section, I have a next action section, just things that don't necessarily have to be done on a certain day, but do need to get done. This also captures incoming things throughout the week that I want to capture but may not get to until the next week. I have a waiting on section, so if I'm waiting on something, particularly if it's going to spill over to the next week, I'll capture it here. I have a staff meeting, so there are starting to be, in the new role, as with the old role, there are starting to be reoccurring weekly meetings that I need to have, specific things I need to talk about in, and so I've created a box just to capture those. And then I've got a section for notes. And then on the back side of that, I've got a for next week. So anything else that comes up. And this is a place where I like to use my sticky notes. Anything that comes up, anything that I need to remember, anything that doesn't really fit in here, I will come in here and put. So that is the setup. So I'm actually going to complete this off camera because I do want to go ahead and fill it in, and there will be some work specific stuff in there, but I just wanted to show you how the setup was gonna look. And the fact that I'm not using a monthly calendar. And so I'd be really interested in hearing from you all. If you use a ring-bound planner with, monthly, weekly inserts in it, do you use a full 2-page monthly calendar in your planner? And if so, what do you use it for? Because I'm really interested in hearing that. This will be my first month not using that 2-page monthly calendar. And it just feels so repetitive of my digital calendar for work. And I just didn't want to create that, but I'm really interested in hearing from you all. All right, so I'd love to hear from you. How are you setting up May in your work planning system? What planning system changes have you gone through? Are you adding anything? Are you deleting anything? Is anything changing for you? I'd love to hear that in the comments below. I love to hear about other people's work planning systems and what keeps you productive. And I'll just say again, as you are watching this video and other videos, keep in mind that our planning systems are always going to be 100% unique to us. So my planning system is not going to look like your planning system because what works for me is not always going to work for you. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to Planning Annie for more content like this. And as always, thanks for planning with me.